Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's another Sunday here, and every Sunday, Rich, what you say?
You know, so from a Sunday Scoops. Biggest show this in our Jamaica music thing, you know. And today, being Sunday, of course, it's Sunday Scoops Day. Today, though, we kind of want to take a sort of a deviation, if you will.
A sort of
A deviation. We're stepping away from thing. We wanted to do this show 2 years ago. And certainly last year, circumstances just never allowed us to do this. But today we have the opportunity. We want to pay tribute to one of Jamaica's most favorite songbirds, the late Karen Smith. This is a woman who has thrilled the hearts and conscience and minds of Jamaicans all around the world, both at home and everywhere else. And today we want to use the opportunity to celebrate her work and her contribution to the music.
Yeah, man. Karen Smith came to light for me. Came across my purview years ago when she did a Grace Cock Soup commercial, and we're gonna kick off the show with a rendition of Moonlight Lover, one of Jamaican classic songs. I think it was a Joy Landis. I did Moonlight Lover. So let's kick it off with that song, and then we'll just get into the catalog of the late Karen Smith. And that's why you're my lover. Where's the Richie? You know, until her death, and I'll be totally open, effusive, honest. I never knew her as a recording artist. I knew her to be a jazz singer. I knew her to do live events. I did not know that she was a recording artist. And, you know, this is one of those people whose singing career was to a certain extent, you know, just not, and that's one of the reasons why we have Sunday Scoops, so we can more or less
provide
showcase a
information.
talent like this.
Absolutely. Well, for my part though, I Karen Smith represented a unique talent. I came into contact with her in those early years. Early 1980s, I just started working at Grace Kennedy. I was working as a marketing officer, 1979 into 1980. Grace was kind of trying to find their own footing and decided to go hard in terms of, in fact, I went into Grace as a marketing officer in the newly formed marketing department. I just finished my marketing diploma at CAST and got this job through some friends of mine and went to Grace, working in the other department. Use up the links, yeah. And the links, in fact, I must give my props to Angela Gray, who was working at Tom Redcom Library at the time. She was a senior librarian, but she knew some people in the supermarket business, and they connected me to Ivan Yee, who was the general manager. Very short, full amount Chinaman, if you ever hear me, you know. But we can't say so now. Call me a big man like him, you know. Ivan had the most one, but he was, you know, as a marketer, genius. And Grace Kennedy was just beginning to embrace this whole marketing concept, and they rebranded the packaged soup. In fact, they just introduced the cock soup to the chicken noodle soup range, and the idea was twinning the product with a personality that Jamaicans could identify with. Nobody never really knew Karen Smith much at that time yet, you know.
I know about her.
Right, but what was clear, people knew, you know, she did a little work on the cabaret circuit, and so they reached out to her, and she voiced the ad with Mallory Williams, and that basically, you know, Grace launched her and Yellowman's career simultaneously, because around the same time that yellow man came into the business and he did the ketchup. But for her, it was a cock soup.
You know, if it was America, that would be a advertising faux pas. The name of that soup.
But cock soup. Anyway, let's move it.
Very
on.
ambiguous,
Let's
Richard.
move on.
From the American perspective.
America is a waste of time. I tell you the God Almighty. You soon can't talk at all because any word come out of your mouth have some other connotation.
Offend
Because
somebody offended.
some low energy idiot who not have no personality for survive on them own basically believe that if you make a comment or you say a word that them want to ban the word. Listen man, I idiot think that. So anyway, let's go. That's why that me can't ease up off of Jamaica for you because I said in Jamaica, man say what you have to say. Right? Anyway.
It's straightforward.
Cock soup thing run and Grace Kennedy sales go through the roof. And with the climbing of the sales and the popularity of the ad, Karen Smith basically seared herself into the hearts and minds of Jamaicans. Became, as I said, household name. And then as over that period, I started to venture out myself I actually shifted from marketing. I went into sales, and I came across her now in that early 80s period on the hotel circuit, and she used to do some work in conjunction with A.J. Brown,
right? Where
they had these shows throughout the North Coast. Americana, I think at the time it would have been Intercontinental. Yes, Intercontinental, Ocho Rios, Mallards Beach. She would, be performing along that whole North Coast circuit from Couples Hotel all the way around down to Hedonism to in Negril, and became a famous voice. And then outside of that, I think she basically took the cabaret thing to another level, and that cabaret became an integral part of the entertainment offerings within the Jamaican populace. I've seen her in performance at a number of venues, particularly, the Pegasus usually hosts a couple of shows per year.
And that, was it Victoria Mutual, or was it one of those? That's like here in Oxford or Richie, right? And Old Hope Road, where they used to have
Victoria Mutual.
Where they used to have those jazz concerts.
Yeah, man, Mutual Life Jazz, yes.
Mutual Life.
Yes. At the time, it was
Myrna
Hague, Sonny Bradshaw, Desi Jones,
and drums.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And things. So, she became a famous vocalist. I mean, once you say Karen name on a bill, especially
in for a treat.
I'm telling you, and especially them time there's a young boy, find a little girl where you want to carry that on a Sunday. Anytime you have a girl where you carry on a show on a Sunday, one of them jazz shows on a Sunday evening jazz with Karen Smith, that the girl knows say she that in a party because them show that is a who is who. Everybody who is anybody. Over there and show them. So when you carry a girl out there, that means that she have an evening appearance in a party. On Karen Smith show. And the ironic thing with Karen was you almost felt as if, the way how she interacted with our audience, you would almost feel that she knew every single person who was in that auditorium on the evening of the show.
And that's one of the things about her personality and how affable she is as a human being, or she was.
But I think what we want to do, God, is, in addition to talking about her as a person, is to share some of that great music that she created and left us with. Because, at the end of the day, hers was what you call a voice like a trumpet, well-tuned trumpet. And, it wasn't the ragamuffin kind of music. It was just a
basically
middle of the
what
road.
she did would have more or less be considered in the genre of lovers rock, for Jamaican music. And here she is with a Paula Abdul cover version, Rush. The beautiful voice of Karen Smith. May her soul rest in peace.
Yeah, make it sound
The
like
kind of
done.
person she is in her bedroom. Her soul have to rest in peace. So let me give you, we played Rush, then we gave you Don't Know What to Do With Myself, all in the game. Let me tell you, all of them songs there are big R&B cover songs. And she, as you said, Richie, off camera, she created a singing space for herself in the Jamaican music scene that to this date has not been filled.
I am prepared to say publicly that there is a void that her passing has created.
Well, you have some new artists coming up in Richie that will give time to, and I agree with you, but there are people who are maturing into this.
Let me say it. No, but seriously, listen. The first time I ever buck up on somebody where, we don't know her, but we know her. And over the years, I got to know her personally, right? She was just, she's like your sister, that your favorite sister. You always want to see her and hear from her. And so, no matter how often you would have seen her in performance, the minute her name come up on a program, if for nothing else, because the way she delivered in her musical offerings, it was almost as if it's harmless. It's disarming. She basically took you to a space where you were comfortable,
right?
And that is a quality that I don't know that there are any other Jamaican female performers who were able to do that.
This is what Americans would call the girl next door.
Absolutely. There's a Myrna Hague, for example, is another great jazz and cabaret singer. And Myrna Hague, have her own space. Well, Karen came, and prior to Karen's when Myrna Hague occupied that space, right? When you go to a jazz and blues concert, Myrna Hague is the thing. Well, when Karen Smith come on the scene, I'm not afraid to tell you, buddy, you can keep Myrna Hague and Myrna Hague good. But this, as you just referred to her, this girl next door feel that you got from listening to Karen Smith is as if you turn on the radio and the DJ pump some of the finest music on the most finely tuned sound system. So it literally, salivate your listening pleasure. So you constantly want more. Have I described it adequately, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And for me, that was Karen Smith. She was born on the 6th of September, 1961, and she transited on the 11th of September of 2021, all of 61 years. But what she has left us is a catalog that will long outlive her and the generations to follow. And of course, as we said, we're gonna, treat the listeners.
Yeah, today is one of those days when it's
music.
my day.
Yeah.
More music.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. And the more music is, again, another cover version of a American classic, Strange, I Still Love You. Yeah, man, them level of instrumentation there with violin and synthesizer and lead guitar and everything turn up.
Well, you don't tell us I'm bias already.
Ines Fox cover version, I See You My Love. Before that was an original, Must Be Something in the Water, written by the man, Willie Lindo. We need to talk to the brother that's to marriage.
I reached out to him the other day, but never. In fact, he promised to come on the show, but I think same as him have some engagement. But before we address that, again, and you say my bias, I mean, I have no
No, it's a
problem.
good bias.
I
It's a
have
good
no
bias.
problem hug up the bias, right?
It's a good bias.
Here is a young woman who could have done anything that she wanted. In fact, as a friend of mine reminded me, we were talking about it last night, and him said he knew her from banking because that she worked at National Commercial Bank, and I think she must have been working in either NCB, Crossroads, or Half a Tree, something, whatever. But she worked with the banking industry before she made the plunge, if you will, into music. And as my virgin reminded me, you know, going into, she made it a pleasure. You come to the bank, you know, her personality was so infectious that you know have a problem and stand up in line and wait for thing. And you know, Bank of Jamaica, a forever thing. You go to the bank,
When you have business, if you're just going to do a quick withdrawal or deposit a check, you're good to go. But when you're conducting business, like serious business, you may as well just lock off your gate.
Well, listen, if you it works now. I don't know when was the last time you
Oh no, try live in
you
America for you have not been in Jamaica for some years. You've lived abroad, regardless of whether it's America, England, Canada. You've lived abroad, you've lived outside of the country. And you don't have a footprint like a light bill or a water bill. Try open a bank account and see what happens to you.
We don't even reach us yet. Opening the bank account is one thing. You want to lodge your little money. Let's say you have a little money where you need.
Oh, so you already have the account.
Yeah.
And you're depositing a
3
check.
hours to stand up in the line alone. 3 hours. Me made that mistake. And what if we go change some US? We go NCB, Hag the Park over there. And when me looking at the line, my education jog me thing to this what you call service rate.
Right.
And I ran a quick calculation based on the number, I estimated the number of people at the bank and the number of service. Because I realized I went at the bank for 2 hours.
Well, that is when
right?
if you have a credit card, you take the cash advance and just bite the bullet on the money they might charge. Because your time is worth more than...
Me remember saying we could have go for Half a Tree to Western Union or one of them. It was faster. But to Karen, you know, as my brethren was reminded me, that's where he knew her from. And, you know, she basically packed it in after a while, once her talent was discovered, and decided to make the move to thing. As we said earlier, you know, she did the Grace Cock Soup commercial, and that basically opened a massive door. And, you know, you yourself admitted that you remember her as a cabaret artist, right? Not a recording artist. And so I can imagine, as a man who played the music, you're surprised when you dig in and realize how much work she has on record.
Yeah, when she passed a couple of years ago, that's when I realized how extensive her catalog was. I didn't realize that. She had a couple of singles, and she has one of those singles that was produced by Sly and Robbie, a song called True True, which again is another one of those reggae classics that's been around for a minute, and just want to present this song to you. All right, Down by the River. Thank you for that. Was that song, and before that you heard True True, a Ken Parker original. I Could Fall, Selena, and again Arthur Price. Some big heavy tune them to the cover and original.
Again,
and it's a gamut of tune, you know, because like again it's 60s.
60s, yeah.
I Could Fall, Selena is 90s. Thank
Ken
You
Parker
For is early 2000. Yeah. Ken Parker is back in the early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. But one of the things that again struck me as I'm, you listening to you pull out the music, apart from the breadth of the music choice, is how she owned the material, having samples. We know the tune.
Nice, like a raspy.
Yeah, Ken Parker is a big tune from a Jamaica dancehall, rock steady era tune, big tune. but she brought her own styling to the tune and softened it up a little bit. And you know,
Yeah, man.
so you weren't while you she kind of pushed the dancehall side of the tune to one side. What she brought out was a kind of softening of the tune that made it a easier listening for a newer. It's almost as if she had created a new audience for this song, right? And so even if you never knew the tune, well, if you never knew the tune before, you'll be comfortable with her singing it. A man like me who know the tune and yourself who because we come out of the era there, we can appreciate that what she has done is taking a rock steady standard and changes the restylize it so that it have her own imprint. And in my book, that is just a demonstration of the kind of class that she and the mastery and the class. Take the Arthur Price Up tune. Arthur Price Up tune again is a standard fare as a man who collect music. If you play 50s and 60s music, Arthur Price Up is almost the foundation of any record collector's collection. Particularly that tune, again, a standard. Anywhere you go and then play that, everybody pay attention. And she again takes this song, doesn't do much in terms of any changing with the lyrics. She delivers the same lyric, but with a kind of sweetness and a softness that gravelly, rough intro that you get from Arthur Price version, you lose it with this one. But she replaces it with a sort of soft texture that just make it pleasant for one to listen to. And again, Karen Smith, you should have somewhere where you pipe the music every Sunday as easy listening music that kind of take you back to a nicer, more genteel time. That's what, for me, Karen Smith represents.
I'm talking about a nicer, more genteel time, Richie. Here's another classic cover, or another cover of a classic, a Nancy Wilson classic. Gloria Estefan original, covered by Karen Smith. Don't Want to Lose You Now. Richie, last couple of songs that I played at the, before I went to the break was a Nancy Wilson, How Glad I Am. And came back with the Ace of Base, Every Time It Rains. Another Nancy Wilson, Don't Come Running Back to Me. Then was a Bob Andy penned original, To Experience from 1968. And then with the Gloria Estefan, Don't Want to Lose You Now.
One of the things that, again, for me, made Karen Smith so outstanding is that when you look back on how a lot of Jamaican singers, vocalists, try and cover people's songs. I mean, nothing wrong with you take a song and you do your rendition of it. But the tendency is to try to deliver, for example, you take an R&B song, Nancy Wilson's,
How Glad I Am, or
anyone
Running Back to Me. Either of the two.
What I try to do is to return the song in pretty much the same style. So instead of you get a reggae feel, you're getting this R&B feel.
With a reggae rhythm in the background.
Karen was at home, adding her own feel to the song. So you know the song is familiar, but you're not trying to remember the song from a Nancy Wilson perspective.
You're enjoying it on its own merit.
Her style is so smooth and so inviting that you are open to embracing the song on the merit that she is now providing to this rendition. And I think that is why that she became such a big draw on the cabaret circuit back in Kingston and on the islands, North Coast. Now, in the latter years, a couple of things with her is that she did a stint in Las Vegas. If I remember correctly, I think A.J. Brown was sort of partnered with her, separate arrangements, but he was there in Las Vegas, and on occasions they were basically on the same circuit around the same time. But she basically held her own in that very competitive Las Vegas and its whole cabaret business is not a joke.
And
it's not
big money too.
Absolutely. And she held her own in that market, and again helped fly the Jamaican flag, in another space that it wouldn't normally have. Not a lot of Jamaican entertainers operated in that realm. And Las Vegas, as you know,
is known for its residences.
Absolutely.
Like Adele or Usher or
there you
Tony Bennett that sat there for years. So,
but
you know the caliber.
So that's the caliber of artists that she's up against, and she held her own for a number of years. She was performing in that space. In the latter years, though, she formed a group called what was it? It was a trio called Package, and I remember seeing her at a show. Would have been at Miramar, where the group performed. Would have been somewhere around 2000 or 2019. It would have been 2019.
Right.
Because after that, the COVID thing, and we all went into lockdown. The group consisted of Patricia Edwards and Jem Myers and herself, and they were pretty well received. It was kind of a little bit of a difference. Here was three, grown-up artists who we kind of watched them develop, because 2019 is 30 years almost from when she started in the 1980s, and it just represented for me. I remember going to the show and really enjoying it, and again, Karen had this appeal to our audience that you almost felt as if there were 300-400 people in that auditorium tonight, is as if she was talking to every single person on an individual basis. The way how she delivered her part with the trio, and we really, it's a big loss when none of us is gonna be here forever. We all have to go, but it was. I remember, where we were when we learned that she had transited, and of course it was a heavy loss for me. Anyway. Wake up.
Yeah, man. No. But us, I really sit down here and understand the reason why we're playing out the songs, because it's just really appreciating the talent and what she brought to the Jamaican music scene. Now, this is another cover version of the great Brooke Benton, for the Brooke Benton True Confession.
Again, every song is almost a standard, or even if it weren't, by the time she sing it now, takes its position in the design.
And also showcases the breadth of the category or the catalog or the genre of music that we were exposed to growing up in Jamaica. Kenny Rogers, Eagles. Eagles is a rock group, But that I can tell you why was also made popular by a trio, Brownstone, American R&B singers. So
and again, she took these all of these and basically made them her own. Now, Karen did a lot of work on the behind the scenes in the music. We Jamaica, for those who don't know, we've been involved in recording music for the better part of the last 73, 75 years. And over the years, the country formed the Jamaica Federation of Musicians.